Holding for touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 Just black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 Just black and white. Black and white. Welcome everybody to Simracersworld TV, and welcome once again to the Sunday Drivers MX-5 series here for round 14 in the US of A. Already feels a bit different here with Trump out of the White House, doesn't it? Chaz Draycott here with Jack Werrell alongside me in the booth for another wonderful Sunday evening of racing. Jack, how are we doing, mate? Another very important week for the world, but another very important week for this championship.
Hi mate, hello everybody, and yeah, I'm not doing too bad. I hope everybody watching along is doing well, of course, as well. And yeah, we didn't really go anywhere. Obviously, being at Lime Rock Park last time out, he's still in the US, like you mentioned, here at Texas, at Fort Worth. It's a unique circuit. I mentioned this to you earlier, Chaz. It's basically just the oval with two hairpins slapped in the middle, pretty much. But it's yeah, it's a circuit which I'm looking forward to seeing how the drivers will negotiate, because it's a circuit that you never really see on the iRacing calendar anymore, with it being a legacy circuit. So it could have thrown a couple of people out of practice. So this could just bring some more people up through the order and get that championship fight ever closer.
It certainly could, mate. Certainly could indeed. We do have a very close championship fight. I'll just show you that right now. Luis Correa does lead the championship with a drop score of 3. He has 229 points over Andrew Lovesy's 205. Basically, if Luis Correa scores 4 more points than Andrew Lovesy this evening, then he will be champion. So he's got not a massive amount of work to do, but we know how quick Andrew Lovesy and his teammates can be. Cali Cavisto sitting pretty in 3rd place. That seems pretty secure now. And British Boring Car Championship driver Michael Elliott is in 4th as well. Sander Ware, on the championship organisers, only 8 points back from him though, in 5th position. Dan Mould and Bram Class up there as well. And we've seen a real good spread, haven't we, in the last few rounds, Jack, of different drivers making their way up to the front of the order and really showing us that they can compete with the fastest guys in the series.
Yeah, I think that's just almost putting pay to the championship. We know that it's a very tight-knitted championship, lots of drivers out on track, so there's never really any time to sort of take prisoners. So you get your quali lap in, and we've got 20 minutes of quali today, which sounds like a lot, but when more than sort of 20-25 cars are all out on track at once, all pushing for the quickest time that they can get, you may end up with yellow flags, cars spearing across the road, just pushing to the limit. So it's a different dynamic to any sort of racing that I've seen before, and it's still got that club level feel about it, with it being Mazda MX-5s on circuits that we don't normally see, smaller circuits to what we have available to us. But yeah, I think it's just showing that even some of the drivers that we don't see much of have that under the radar performances and work their way up through the order, and then come the end of the race you look and think, oh well, how did he get there? And you look back through some of the replays and you just think they carve through the traffic. And I think it's just clean and consistent lap times is what gets you to the top, and if you can start at the top and still keep it clean and consistent from there, it's a recipe for success.
It really is. You know, you need to have that consistency in a championship like this. And it's easy to lose it, because it's easy to overdo it and try and put too much into a race like this. And these cars, I mean, we've seen what these cars like plenty of times. It's very easy to overdrive them, and it's very easy to have the volume set up too high on them as well, actually, by the sounds of it. So I'm going to just turn that down a little bit, everybody. But we ride on board with Javi Lopez, and Javi, we've said it before, haven't we, Jack? He's one of the more entertaining drivers in the series, and he's, again, we speak about consistency. He has inconsistent results, doesn't he, with what he does? You know, he has fast rounds, and then he'll have rounds where he gets involved in incidents and he's further down the order. It's just, he's not quite had it this season, but, you know, he's shown that he's got the pace on a one-lap run, but it's getting through the race, isn't it, and avoiding the, let's say, some of the wayward drivers that you may catch out sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. At Lime Rock Park last time out, we saw that Xavi, the round didn't really go his way. He had a couple of incidents. I think one might have even been a bit of a scuffle with his teammate. But yeah, he's been like fairly inconsistent. But as you can see in practice, he's got the pace. Currently sitting in 5th. So he's got the pace that he needs to stay up towards the top. But like I say, it's more important to have the pace over a lap. Even if you're half a second slower every lap, but you're consistently half a second slower, it will get you much further than being a second quicker, 2 seconds slower, 2 seconds quicker, a second slower.
Yeah, definitely. And someone that's also been like that is Roberto Garcia, and probably one of the best team names we're going to see, the Flying Paellas Racing Machine, which I absolutely love. I'm just trying to see who it is he's teamed up with in this one. I did see the team name twice, but we have another team on the grid, by the way. David Geddes in the 2G Parts and Equipment Racing Machine. He's been on at me to make sure I got the livery right, because in iRacing there's an option called hide car numbers, and some people have, there's a bit of a shimmy in front. That's actually, out of all people, that was his teammate Timo Paya going in the wall. But in iRacing there's an option to hide car numbers. So the standard number 31 you see on the door of that car there, you can basically turn off that iRacing does that automatically, and you can put your own numbers on the cars. And I run a couple of leagues that do that. So basically, with me having that option ticked, if a car plays to that rule or has a livery that doesn't play to that rule, then it won't always update. So me and David have been in communication, let's say, to make sure that's right, and we can now see his livery. But that is the end of practice, and now qualifying comes around very, very suddenly for these drivers. And what we'll do is we'll go on board when I can find him in the list. We'll go on board with... Well, we will if he actually takes to the circuit. I was going to say we can go on board with our current championship leader and potential champion, Luis Correa, but he's not going anywhere yet. So we'll go on board with Michael Elliott, who has been racing in the aforementioned British Boring Car Championship that I run in a Renault Laguna sort of mock-up Volkswagen Jetta. And that, to me, seems like Michael's pulling over, or he's at least just trying to get a bit of clear air here. But the main thing around this circuit, Jack, as I'm sure you'll agree, this corner looks very much like Rockingham. It's having an oval and a road circuit. Often these road circuits in the middle are really difficult to get right, aren't they?
Yeah, I think some ovals have tried it and, well, failed a lot of the time. Charlotte, that's almost a salt and pepper kind of circuit. Some parts of it, I think, flow beautifully. It's an amazing circuit to drive when you get it right, but they really don't work for you if you start to overdrive, you push the limits a little too much. And Texas is one of them where I haven't got massive amounts of experience, but in my rookie era of iRacing, I raced around here quite a lot. And yeah, it's a circuit which can be quite deceptive. It looks easy, really wide circuits, and a really wide circuit, plenty of runoff, but you just touch that grass and you'll end up either in front of somebody coming the other way with there not being many sort of perimeter walls, or you'll end up in the outside wall there, which is solid concrete, and it will end your race. And it's a circuit which can work for some people but can't for others, and that is literally exactly the same with any other oval circuit. Some drivers absolutely love them to bits, whether it be Daytona, Charlotte, or here at Texas, or some drivers despise them and just won't even go anywhere near them.
Yeah, you need to make sure you have a balance of it, don't you? That's the thing. Some of the drivers out there, we were saying it before, they push it a bit too hard sometimes, and it's easy to overdo it. On the chopper cam at the moment, as you can see some of the lap times coming in, almost 2-minute lap times on these out laps here, but even in the race they're going to be doing laps that are similar to what, 145s, 146s, so there's certainly a lot to get wrong and get right around a lap here. And I think these are the trickiest circuits, aren't they, when it's a longer lap, because, well, as I just said, there's more opportunity to get it right if you're going to be quick around here, but there's also more opportunity to get it wrong if you're being inconsistent, as we've already touched upon. So I think if there's a lot of opportunities, this is probably going to spread the field out a bit more. Usually on a shorter circuit you'd see more action usually, but to be honest, I think it's got the potential of a circuit. If we look at the track map, you can see the shape of it at the moment on the right hand side. I think that we're going to see a lot of close racing tonight because of there's a natural flow of this track on the infield. There's not too much going on, so it's not too much of a challenge to these drivers. So I think some of the racing is going to be really close.
Yeah, I do and don't agree with you, because it can swing either way, and we know that this championship can swing either way no matter what circuit you put them on. And you can see here that the draft will play an effect as well. So this race won't be over until the cars have crossed the line, because you might be first coming out of the final corner, but with the draft, and come 100 meters later, you could be sort of a tenth behind purely because of the draft. And something I wanted to bring up as well is that we've seen a couple of engine failures throughout the season, and a couple of sort of self-induced issues going into heavy braking zones, whether that's just not braking early enough and collecting a car ahead, or maybe just braking a little too late, or changing down too early. And I think Luis Correa might have had a slight issue with that. You can over-rev the car, of course, as well. And with this circuit being so flat out, you're going to spend a lot of time up in the red line. And then if you change down too early and you go back up to the red line, maybe every couple of laps, that's going to put a lot of stress on the engine, and it's going to be getting very hot if you're racing in a pack. So it might be attritional as well, not just through door-to-door racing and trading paint, but also mechanically.
Yeah, very true. And you don't often see engine failures, that's the thing. And iRacing does model it. I've had it before in endurance races. If you're revving the knackers off something consistently, then you will get failures. It's as simple as that. They do model the whole sort of wear and tear of these things. These cars do run on the limit. They may only be little MX-5s, but they're proper race cars, And we do love them. We do love them indeed. Andre Zeller is out there, by the way, in the 2G Parts and Equipment Racing machine. Good to see Andre back out on circuit. He used to race in a couple of other leagues that I've been watching before as well. Ben Hicks, at the moment, is the fastest for Fast Cars Go Bang, but Fast Cars Go Top at the moment, by the look of it. He's ahead of Luis Correa, who very importantly is ahead of, let's just have a look, is Lovesy even in the field tonight? He's not, is he? No, he's not. No, so long as Luis Correa, this man here, scores 4 points, then he'll win the championship. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's pretty much been handed to him on a plate. It's not what I wanted to see. I would have loved to see Lovesy rock up this evening. He might still join in. He's still got time to join, I think. However, with the new iRacing rules, I'm not sure whether that just blocks them off of qualifying.
I think that'll be the case. If he's not made it to qualifying, he won't be in. I'm afraid.
Oh dear. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing the championship fight. I was hoping Lovesy would be able to absolutely bring it to him today, and maybe stop Luis Correa's advances, but it'll swing the way it goes. I mean, it's not just that Luis could win the championship tonight. He could still make that fatal mistake, and it could just put his championship into ruins, and it's got to then go to the final round at Alton Park. And I think it's fair to say you're looking forward to that one, aren't you?
Oh yeah, Alton Park is my local. I live within 10 miles of that magical place, and in terms of a racing circuit, you know, it's not really been altered since it was made. It's only the barriers have been moved slightly or sort of strengthened, or there's been a catch fence put in at the bottom of the hill and on the exit of turn 1, and that's pretty much it. You know, from a spectator standpoint, Alton Park is still, in my opinion as well, obviously I am biased, but I think it's one of the best circuits in the world for spectators and photographers, and it's just great, and it feels like a traditional British racing circuit as well. It's nice and sort of oscillating. It's out in the countryside. It's a big challenge. I'm very excited to see how this series goes from a big roval like this to a very narrow and unforgiving proper British racetrack like that. Just a bit of confirmation as well. You get 3 points, 3 championship points for pole, 2 for fastest lap in the race, and you get points if you finish in the top 20. Now, if Luis Correa doesn't get the fastest lap and he doesn't get pole position, he only needs to finish 17th tonight to wrap up the title. So doesn't seem like a hard job if you know how quick Luis can be. This is Ben Hicks, by the way, who's currently fastest for Fast Cars Go Bang. 2 of their cars in the top 3. And we keep seeing H20 against SRL, don't we, Jack? But at the moment, Fast Cars Go Bang, they've sort of appeared on the block and done a really good job.
Yeah, I think this rivalry goes deeper, if I'm honest, with obviously Fast Cars Go Bang being a team that I'm not massively familiar with. However, they've started to creep into one of the SRL championships, the SRL TCR League, and they've been battling away in that. And then obviously they've been battling with SRL occasionally in here, but like you say, it's mainly been H20 and SRL in Sunday drivers. And yeah, Fast Cars Go Bang have rocked up on the scene and they've gone, right, let's just add something else into the mix. Yeah, they're clearly doing it properly. With Ben Hicks, like you say, provisional pole position at the moment. Sanderware in second. Amanullah Bacchus for Fast Cars Go Bang is in third. I think he was wearing a special livery this evening. I think it was blue, possibly. He's got the orange one. I think they've all got different colours this evening, so it's made it slightly easier on us, so he can pick out who's driving what. I think it was Harry Bowen in the blue or green one. We do have Victor Oliveira out as well, so we'll have to have a look at his.
Yes, we will. Yes, Olivier is blue, as we see there, and trying to find the other car as well.
I think Harry Bowen's in the pit lane.
He is, yes. I was looking further up the order. Another little thing to note as well is Luis Correa, he may be racing for H20 Esports Racing here, but in the Simracersworld Formula 3 Championship, which recently finished, the Sim Stickers Simracersworld Formula 3 Championship, he was actually racing for Fast Cars Go Bang. So he's certainly been noticed by a couple of teams that want him on board. Bram Class, who I finally can say the name of properly after Jack schooled me on it, is down in 19th place at the moment in the number 8 car. He's got Peter Reed, his teammate, in 18th place just ahead of him. And Rene Ware is 16th, actually. Sander Ware currently second. And Sander has unlocked some real pace in the last part of this championship, which has been great to see. Because well, he's actually, he wears the number 1 not only because he's the league organiser and he can do what he wants, but he actually won the first running of this championship when there was a lot less drivers in it. But as you can see by the entry list, I mean, we've got 28 cars registered in the session. It's really taken off, hasn't it, since that first season?
Yeah, I think it's just because some of the drivers, they get out of the Mazda at their rookie license and then go on to bigger and better things, whether it be Formula 3s or the Skip Barber, which I know can sort of throw some people away with it being such a tricky car to drive. I really enjoy it, but then they can go to, GTs, like prototypes, IndyCar, Oval, everything like that. And the MX-5 sort of falls into the shadows for them, for the drivers that get up into those higher licenses and I ratings. Some drivers obviously do come back, and that's all the drivers we're seeing here this evening. I think it's possibly a bit of nostalgia as well, just heading back into the Mazda, and it can be a bit of a learning curve because you sometimes forget the basics, so to speak, when you get into those GT cars, because it's a very different driving style. But if you get back into the Mazda, it puts you back to what you started with. You can feel the oversteer through the car much easier. You can pick out your braking point. You can race closer than you ever have with them being such small cars. And then you'll find when you get back into the GTs, you could pick up a couple of tenths just because you've spent that seat time in a car which has got maybe more sort of sensual experiences than the GT that's almost covered up in or covered in cotton wool, with it having all of its assists. So the Mazda, I think, can be quite an attractive little prospect for some of the drivers that are just looking to either get into a close league, a competitive league, or just looking to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, and to be fair, these cars are very unforgiving. You know, they are rear-wheel drive. They do have enough power to spin up the rears, and they're very soft in terms of suspension, so they do roll around a little bit, and if you bounce off a curb, you can unsettle the car very easily. And, some of these drivers with a bit less experience than a lot of people on the iRacing service, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad drivers. They've just not quite got into the rhythm of how it feels yet, or, developing the awareness or the reactions of what you need to do to be quick on iRacing. It's not just about how good you are. So I think that we've got a real treat in terms of this championship, and I've really enjoyed covering it. And I know that everyone at Simracersworld TV has sort of been looking forward to this from the very first race that we had, the very chaotic race at Okayama that I had the joy of covering on my own, which was a lot of fun. Getting used to different drivers, different driving styles, who's quick, who's not, who's consistent, who's not. And it was brilliant, and it always has been in my eyes. Mark Fletcher in the chat, by the way, doing his standard check-in. He follows me everywhere at the minute. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you indeed. But we've got, again, up there at the moment, Jack, we've got a nice mix of drivers. Ben Hicks is doing a good job. Amanullah Backus doing a great job for Fast Cars Go Bang. Matt Tempest up there for Simtech Racing. And David Geddes up there in 6th as well. So, again, this championship throws up more surprises for us in terms of who gets near the top spot.
Yeah, I was going to bring up David Geddes. He's a driver which I can almost relate to, because he knows he's got the potential. He knows he can drive quickly, and then sometimes he just gets caught out, whether it be a slight mistake by himself or he gets caught up in somebody else's mistake. But when it goes right, it goes really, really well for him, and it's great to see him, like I say, up there in provisional P6 at the moment. The sole Canadian on the grid, and that's something else I wanted to bring up. It's a massively international championship. We've got drivers from all around the globe, and just looking at the timing screen, it's an absolute flood with colours from all different flags, and that's something that I think the league really benefits from as well, because it's a lot of drivers coming from a lot of different backgrounds, and sim racing can mean like completely different things on the other side of the world, and for everybody to come together and have a race and get used to each other's company, each other's driving styles, and maybe just race with someone that they might have otherwise hadn't have done. It almost helps the drivers improve as well, because they can experience maybe different little bits that they might not have done.
Yeah, it sort of introduces them to different aspects of the racing and into league racing as well, where you get used to the drivers around you, and it does it in a bit more of a subtle way, because there is the very straightforward option of jumping out of doing official races and rookie licenses and going straight into something like a GT league, like the Simracersworld GT Evo series or GT Pro series that we have on Simracersworld TV, or going into something really competitive and one make like the TCR series, which, by the way, is going to be starting next week. In a couple of days. I cannot wait to be calling that. Me and Peter Mackay are going to be on that one. That's the Simracersworld Z1 Dashboard TCR Winter Series. That's going to be a lot of fun. Luis Correa goes top, by the way. But these drivers being in this league, it's a great way to introduce them to the further reaches of iRacing. Because, I mean, I'm not sure about you, Jack, but admittedly, when I joined iRacing, I did a couple of official races. Didn't really know anybody else that did it, as Luis Correa has a real drift around turn 1. And I sort of felt a bit lost and a bit out in the wilderness because I don't really know anybody else. And it's very easy to, without the forums as well, to sort of not even realise that there's this much of a community behind it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's where I landed on my feet with it, luckily. I joined iRacing and did a couple of races, got used to it, but I was already sort of in several communities from other simulators, and then as soon as I hopped onto iRacing, I almost knew where to look, and then from there it's just like absolutely blown up. And obviously with the global situation over this year, it's massively exploded as well with the amount of drivers on iRacing. And I think that's just, yeah, it's massively helped league racing as well, because you see much almost bigger grids in the leagues purely because there is that demand for it, and it helps the other drivers again because it's something they might not have otherwise experienced. Small grids, you can have close races here and there, but there you go, that's it. But if you've got a huge grid, you could have some drivers which are just doing it for a laugh, and that's amazing to see. The drivers just hop in, they just want to have a bit of fun, they really couldn't care less about points, they're just enjoying sim racing, which then could introduce some of the quicker cars into some traffic. But you're all in the same car, and if you're all on the same setup, it makes it so much harder. So I think, yeah, always this year, with all of its wrongs, of course, it has had a few rights, and I've got to say one of those for me, I've got to think, is sim racing.
Definitely, and Mark Fletcher's just made a good point as well. Usually in leagues, you do get that cleaner racing because you've got the consistency of the drivers that you're racing against week in, week out. And while, you know, nobody's perfect, even the best in iRacing make mistakes. I mean, in the Porsche Esports Super Cup, we see incidents, we see contact, we see amazing driving and amazing racing, but you see contact everywhere. And it comes back onto the point that I made a few weeks ago, and during the 24 hours of Spa I was doing over the last 2 weekends, where I think that stewarding in motorsport has become a bit soft, and any contact is penalised now, where it's a very competitive sport, and they're in cars that are going to make contact with how close they race, and with how soft it gets, with like, oh, someone's just made side-to-side contact with somebody, they hadn't properly gained much from it, or the other person kept the place, but the other person will still get a penalty. And I think that in leagues, there are real people behind it and behind organising it that understand that there is going to be contact. You know, they don't penalise everything. They only penalise the stuff that they think, oh, that might have been intentional, or oh, that was a bit silly, that could have been avoided, or it ruined someone's race. But if some of these drivers, like we saw at Lime Rock Park last time out, didn't we, that there was contact here, there and everywhere, but the drivers were loving it. You know, it's part of the racing, and if you can have a bit of contact, kiss wing mirrors here and there, have a bit of a nudge but carry on, it just adds to the enjoyment for everybody, doesn't it? And especially us in the commentary box.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for me, it's a really tricky subject because I'm constantly jumping either side of the fence, and it depends on what car you're driving. Of course, if it's open wheels, then yeah, very little contact is definitely advisable. But in cars like these, whether it's in GTs even, you can get away with bits of contact. But for me, that is proper racing. Little nudges, bump and runs into corners. We saw it at Lime Rock. I called it the touring car tactic because he literally just nudged him going into the corner. I can't remember the drivers, but he just forced them off wide, opened the door on the inside. He shot up the inside, but then a lap later, he did exactly the same. And sort of got a taste of his own medicine. So that for me is proper racing. Little nudges here and there. Moving over on the straight is a tender subject, but even if you just give them a slight little kiss and then go back, and then go back to your line, just a little kiss to make them go, okay, I'll give you a bit more room. So then that opens up the battle once again to carry on for the next lap. And there you go. Even though they're teammates and it's qualifying and it does sort of matter, a little tap there, they've gone, yeah, you know what, there's a little kiss and carry on. But yeah, for me, proper racing, and today I'm going to say we're not going to be short of contact.
Definitely not, but like I said, it just adds to the enjoyment. I mean, we had two drivers in a straight line in the British Boring Car Championship on Thursday that, you know, they were sort of just pushing their luck a little bit, getting very close together, and one of them ended up across the nose of the other car in the wall, and his race was over. And, you know, he was angry about it, shouted all about it in the chat, and then afterwards, you know, they spoke about it, and one driver apologised to the other, and it's all fair enough. But, yeah, moving over on the straight is the one thing I don't hate many things in the world, but that is the one thing I hate. Like, I truly hate it when drivers move over on one another in a straight line, especially in the sim, because it exaggerates contact in the sim. We all know that if there is the tiniest thing going on, you know, the tiniest touch will put a car completely around in the sim, whereas in real life, you know, the cars have got the proper weight behind them. They wouldn't do that. Rob Sutherland has just asked in the chat, Jack, would you tap people if you were paying for the repairs?
It depends on what car it was. If it was like a little Vauxhall Corsa, then yeah, because you probably get more for scrap. But if it was one of these Masters, I'd still probably, yeah, I'd have a bit of contact. I'd give them a little nudge here and there. A wing mirror is probably pence. You probably find about 12 of them littered around the circuit at the end of the track anyway, at the end of the race. So it's like a pick and mix. Oh, I've lost my wing mirror, so I'm just going to have yours. But yeah, it's a tricky one. It depends on what I was driving. In these Mazdas, I would probably, yeah, if it was real life, not as much. I would have little bits of contact here and there, maybe just a little nudge. But yeah, if I was paying for it, probably not. If
it could be avoided, I think we all would. Obviously, yeah. When it comes to real racing, but that's the beauty of sim racing. You know, nobody gets hurt unless you've got direct drive wheel and someone smacks into you. But you know, you don't get proper injured. You don't get. That was great English, wasn't it? How proper of me. You don't have to pay for the bill. There's no teamwork required in fixing the car, and it takes away that fear factor. You know, people in the sim can always say, "Oh, I can lap faster than these touring car drivers around this circuit in this car," and it's exactly the same. It's all laser scanned, you know, but you don't have to have that fear of launching it into a corner at full whack, whereas in a real car, you know, you have the human element. And I think that there are always going to be differences like that in sim racing, and that's why we love it. You know, you can push the boundaries with it a bit more, you can play with it a bit more, maybe take it a little bit less seriously from time to time, but you know, for a lot of people like you and me, Jack, it's the closest that they're going to get to going racing. And, you know, they take it seriously for the right reasons. And we get to watch great racing out of it, and realistic racing at that, don't we?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I wouldn't know what I'd do without it, because it's really just played a massive part in my life. Whether I'm just bored, sat at home, I just hop in the sim and just drive in circles all day trying to find normality. But yeah, it's a great piece of kit, the iRacing simulator specifically, purely because of its attention to detail, and I think that just makes us as commentators, drivers, anybody related to it appreciate it much more, and I think the drivers are going to be appreciating it as they're heading into the race.
They will be indeed. So here we have our grid then. Luis Correa on pole position, and he gets 3 points for that pole, so he only needs one more in the race, so he needs to finish 20th. Ben Hicks lines up second with Sander Ware and Amanullah Bacchus on row 2. Then we have Kalle Kavisto and Matt Tempest, Michael Elliott and David Geddes, Javi Lopez and Henrico Puttenstein round out your top 10. Then we have Sebastian Hain, Rene Ware is 12th with Roberto Garcia and Jordanin Svetanov, Jason Guerrara, Alvaro Rodriguez, Timo Paya and Andre Zeller, with Peter Reid and Victor Oliveira rounding out the top 20. We then have Brown Class, Mackenzie Mann, I'll get it right one day, Neil Armstrong, he's not on the moon today, Sven Delmans in 24th, and then we have Arturo De Villa, Jean-Louis Molget, Pedro Marimon and Harry Bowen at the back of the grid. But here we go then. The race is about to get underway, and round 14 of the Sunday Drivers MX-5 series here on Simracersworld TV is away, and that, wow, the green flag man trying to get the dust off it, but Luis Correa needs to get the dust off his rear tyres because he just lit them up and lost 2 places straight off the line. Ben Hicks has dived out into the lead, Sander Ware up into second, Kalle Kavisto, he wants vengeance for his teammate Andrew Lovesley, who is not here this evening. He wants to get down the inside and take some more points off Luis Correa, but he's going to have to do more than that. Sander Ware goes for the lead down the inside as well. They've got almost half the oval to do. Look at this, Jack, all the way further back. It is like NASCAR stuff down into turn 2.
Yeah, almost 3 wide, 4 wide contact there, I think, between the number 6 Powerhall machine and one of the H20 cars up the road, but everybody jumping on the brakes, managing to get through. All right, more bits of contact. We said we'd see it, and we are definitely being treated to some contact already. Look at that, almost 3 wide going through what I think would end up being turn 4. Lots of cars side by side. You can see Michael Elliott, Luis Correa and Kalle Kavisto all nose to tail. I think that's Matt Tempest getting in on the mix as well. Look at this, Michael Elliott now looking to the inside of Luis Correa, and Luis Correa, after starting on pole position. He's only going backwards, and he might lose out here once again with the door being pried open by Roberto Garcia, the number 20 machine, looking to get up the inside, almost 3 wide once again, in towards the left-hand hairpin, back onto the oval. Luis Correa might get Mike Elliott back here. I think he has up the inside, massive sent by Victor Oliveira, pulls out of the move just in time to make sure he doesn't make contact onto the oval, and ignores swap around again with that draft.
Yep, this is one of the main parts of the race now, is getting tucked in for that slipstream and making sure that you hold on to it, because as soon as you're out of that slipstream, then you're going to lose a massive advantage over the course of a lap. Now, these cars punch a really big hole in the air, so it certainly does help to be in the slipstream. Down the not so straight we go, and across the line for the first time onto lap 2. Staying on board with Victor Oliveira, the Brazilian driver. Look at the pace that these cars can pick up all the way around here. Just ahead, we've got, I think that's Michael Elliott, and it is Matt Tempest, right together here as they go into turn 2 now, onto the infield. And for the race lead, Sander Ware side by side with Ben Hicks. You can just see them on the far left of your shot. Cali Cavisto trying to get in there as well. Oh, we've got cars around. Oh, big damage. Jason Guerrara's off. He joins right onto the racing line. That's not advised, sunshine. Oh, we've also got Victor Oliveira just going down the order as well. He's had an incident. There was a couple of cars off the circuit as well on the outside, wasn't there, Jack? There was Rene Ware involved in that. Let's see what happened here.
Yeah, in towards turn 3. He's throwing that down hard into the side of the Simtech car. What happened there? It looks like whether that was some sort of hardware.
He just broke. I think he was just focusing on the cars around him and just broke too late.
Simple as that. Never going to get that slowed down. I think at that point it's easy for us to say up here it's best to throw it to the right and into the concrete barrier, but when you're doing almost north of 200 k's, you are left with very little time to think. Riding on board with Dave Geddes, and he just comes out of nowhere and then hard into the wall. David trying to avoid the incident, and he ends up in the wall himself.
I was very interested there by the fact that David Geddes had that incident, but somehow still the Simtech racing machine got out ahead of him after bouncing off the wall. He still managed to get away from that incident quicker than him. But speaking of getting away quickly, though, Sander Ware leads the race as we go on to lap 3 out of 18. Ben Hicks in second, Cavisto third, with Correa in 4th place. But he doesn't need to push too hard at the moment to take the championship. He just needs to finish inside the top 20. It's close between, not these two. These two, there he is. Bram Class around the outside of Alvaro Rodriguez. It sounded like somebody was having a bit of a moment there. Not quite sure what happened there, but Jason Guerrara, I think Jason Guerrara's just had a bit of a nightmare here. I'm not sure whether it was him that was involved in that. Sven Dalemans has stopped. Oh, it was Sven Dalemans. Oh, that's a massive hit into the wall. And he sits in the middle of the circuit. Hopefully he doesn't get collected by anybody. No, it's all good. All good. Well, you could say all good, but it's as good as it was going to get there, wasn't it, Jack?
Yeah, I think it was an odd incident, but he managed to get the car out of the way. Who's that braking? I think that's Bram Class. Whether he's got some sort of a slowdown penalty, he's on the grass, slowing it right down. I think he might actually be returning to the pit lane, and he might be destined for retirement. There you go, back to the pit lane there for Bram Class. I'm not sure what has happened there. There is Roberto Garcia now with Luis Correa.
Sorry about that. We'll
underneath the rear. Let's have another look.
I'm not sure what has gone on there for Bram Class. Maybe his tea's ready or something. I'm not sure. It is late over where a lot of these drivers are. They're on Central European time, so it is past 11 o'clock at night. Maybe he's got a curfew or something. This is the battle further up the order. Sven Dalemans obviously going down the order as all these drivers go past him in the pits. Fastest lap of the race by Michael Elliott, the SRL car just behind these two. This is Luis Correa on the outside, who is going for the championship this evening with Roberto Garcia and the Flying Paellas Racing. We've seen that Roberto's had the same sort of grace as a Flying Paella sometimes, as he's gone a bit wide there. But look at how wide the circuit is on that part there. Cavisto's been overtaken by Ben Hicks now as well, and Garcia down the inside of Elliott says thank you very much, mate. I'll take that one. Through the right-hander he goes, and Luis Correa now down to 6th place after starting on pole. But to be honest, Jack, he's not going to be too worried about that, is he?
No, I think, yeah, he's more than happy just to ease off and take it easy this evening. And you tend to look at a battle and they've got in front and you think, oh, how many laps can he hold him off? But I think tonight the question is how many corners or how many seconds can he hold him off? Because you know the position is destined to change. Using all the track and a bit more there is Pedro Marimon. Jumping over the curbs through the quick left-right chicane in the middle of the Roval. Look at that, Victor Oliveira having a little peek up the inside. nothing comes of that just as yet. But the man we're looking at, Pedro Marimon, up 13 places, and Roberto Garcia up the road as well. His teammate has gained 9, and Victor Oliveira this evening is maybe just pulling out of the moves, which I think he could probably still keep his nose in and keep the position up for grabs. But I think he's just playing it cautious as well.
Yeah, you don't want to send it in too hard this early in the race. But some of them, like Sander Ware, want to just break away from the pack. He's got Ben Hicks and Cali Cavisto in there as well. Ben Hicks has been very impressive. Be good to see Ben back next season as well. And see what he can do about a championship. As in the background there, Garcia and Elliott and Correa. Oh, no. Cali Cavisto's got it all wrong. And he's into Ben Hicks, and he was into Sander Ware as well. Oh, Cali, what have you done, mate? That's a nightmare. Garcia's just gone off the circuit as well. Oh no, and he's just made a mess of it coming back on. Let's just pick this apart. Cali's just getting... Whoa. Something happened to Cali's wheel there.
Yeah, we'll have to have a...
Something... Sorry, mate. Something definitely happened with the wheel. Watch his wheel.
Whoa.
There was a glitch of it staying completely straight for a second there. And then Garcia went off. This is Rodriguez, sorry. Garcia had already gone off at this point. Let's have a look at what happened to him. Oh, he just cuts across the front of Luis Correa. It doesn't leave him the room. Maybe distracted by the incident. Easy to do. We've all been there. And he's now down in 14th place. Behind his teammate Pedro Marimon, who we were talking about before. As this battle, Victor Oliveira has done a great job, hasn't he, in gaining these positions?
Yeah, it's just been carving his way up through the order. And Pedro Marimon as well, up 14 places. Arturo de Villa up 10. Lots of positions being made up through the middle of the pack. And that's something I think you alluded to at the start. You see the drivers that maybe aren't that quick over one lap pace in qualifying, so we don't really notice them until it comes to the race. And you just see whether it is because of the attrition of the race up ahead, or it's just they know how to pass the other cars cleanly and quietly, so to speak, or a bit of both. And that's when we start to see these drivers seep their way through the cracks. And at the moment, Victor Oliveira, like you say, he's doing a great job on the attack, but he's also doing quite a good job on the defence as well, because he just managed to fend off Timo Paya, which now means that Pedro Marimon almost into the back of him. Was the contact there, Chaz? Yeah,
Pedro just gives him a bit of a shove, and he's doing a bit of Jim Carner in his Ken Block-esque monster delivery, it seems. But again, we've seen that Pedro's been slightly flamboyant, let's say, in previous rounds. Silverstone, definitely one that was etched in my memory. But still, close, hard racing from them. A little bit of a mistake on the brakes. But the thing is, when you're on a bit of the circuit like that, where you're going so quickly, especially in these cars, you know, you're at their top speed, it's easy to just overdo it on the brakes. And speaking of, Timo Paya understeering like mad into the hairpin there, and nearly into the back of him. And now Roberto Garcia is going to want to make up these places again. So keep an eye on Mr. Garcia, because this could be a very interesting comeback through the field as he sets his sights on Timo Paya. Get out of the way, he says. See in a bit. But, you know, again, we come back to that contact. To me, Timo just kept the lock on. Could have wound it off a bit, and then there was just a bit of a tap, but they both carry on.
Yeah, so the race does continue on, like you say, and the drivers, or 99% of the drivers, are still out there and rotating. This is Roberto Garcia in the number 20 Flying Paella's machine. And I think the field is starting to open up very slightly. I say that, Jordan Svetanov, just the man we're looking at now, is being overtaken by Alvaro Rodriguez on the inside. Had a bit of a sideways moment there, and it looks like quite an easy moment to collect up. But then when the car sneaks up the track, that's into the back of Jordan Svetanov. Was that?
Oliveira? I think that was Oliveira, yeah. He just comes piling in, and again, just these guys just not on it on the brakes, I'm afraid. Timo Paya also hit Roberto Garcia, I think. Yeah, he did. He just batters into the side of him. He says, "You got me as we came onto the oval. As we come off it, biff. There you go. Have that in the side, mate. What do you think of that?" But more racing now between Marimon and Oliveira. Both of them guilty of pile driving cars into the hairpin somewhat. So it'll be interesting to see what their braking tactics are when they're combined, when they get back round. But, you know, again, it keeps it entertaining for everybody watching and for us as well, Jack, because it does just come down to some of the inexperience from these drivers, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one because I know a lot of the drivers, like you say, we see it in the highest level of esports racing. They can make mistakes. Tonight, they are looking rather clumsy. You can, it is almost difficult to have major incidents on iRacing with obviously the prevention having or knowing that you're in a league and you need this is being broadcasted. Sometimes that works, and obviously you've got the incident point system as well, which can play in the back of your head as well, knowing full well if you have an incident they will very quickly start to stack up. And Sander Ware at the front, we're looking at the moment, doing a good job still leading the way. And I think it was Rob Sutherland in chat that mentioned it earlier, whether I would pay for damage. If these guys were paying for damage, I think you could buy yourself a Texas Roval for the amount of damage that they've caused this evening.
Potentially, yeah. They better hope there's a Mazda parts franchise somewhere nearby. As Marimon goes past Alvaro Rodriguez, so too does Oliveira. He's probably thinking, I've seen what these two have done to the cars in front of him, I'm going to jump out of the way. But Sander Ware and Michael Elliott are actually the two closest cars on track as well. And they've got Luis Correa, who's hoping to be champion-elect, just behind them at the moment, as Sander's gone a little bit deep into the hairpin now. Elliott gets his nose down the inside, but it just slows himself up a little bit, trying to hang it to the inside. Let's see what Luis Correa can do now when he comes up against the Simulation Racing League's machine. Matt Tempest is just behind this, 1.9 seconds back in 4th place. And I think we've got a Simtech racing car going slowly in front of us there as well, Jack. I'm not sure if it is a Simtech car, so apologies if it is, but I think it might be Bram Class a little bit further ahead.
I think it's Jason Guevara for Simtech Racing, possibly just up the road. And this battle, these guys are going to have to think about the encroaching traffic. Luis Correa in the middle there, still Sander Ware hanging on to the lead, but I think Michael Elliott has made a fatal mistake here. He's gone to the high line, which means he'll have to go much deeper into the corner. I say deeper, Luis Correa into the side of Sander Ware. Sander had to turn for the corner at some point, and that's not what they wanted. Michael Elliott picks up the pieces, picks up the lead for the moment. Sander Ware sneaking back up the inside and keeping the lead, but that's the last thing Luis Correa wanted to do. 1, have contact. 2, it was with his teammate as well. That's the main rule, and another H20 car is having issues. That's Henrico Puttenstein trapped in the tyre wall. What happened here? Please don't tell me he had contact with anybody else. Oh, that's somebody coming in very quickly. Who's that?
Wow, that was a big hit there. Was that?
I think that was Sven Dalemans. I think it was Sven Dalemans.
Yes, it was. Sven Dalemans there making a hole in the side of Texas. Again, just way too hot on the way in. He does try and get it out of the way, but that's a scary hit if you're Henrico Puttenstein, because you're just driving along doing your job and then suddenly out of nowhere you just get this smack in the front left and you're in the barrier. You can see the offending front end go flying off. It's a massive hit, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not what we like to see at all out to play it. Jeez, it does look rather good with the new...
Sorry, I just heard a bang then. I heard a large bang. I think maybe Garcia and Oliveira having a bit of fun. Oh, there you go. That's what the bang was. Oliveira drives into the wall. Carries on though.
We said the drivers would be trading paint. I was thinking each other, but Victor said, well, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to trade a bit of paint with the wall. And Javi Lopez running the bottom groove at the moment. Peter Reed looking to the high line, both of them hard on the brakes. And we're seeing two different lines here. Javi Lopez, the tighter line, cuts in and basically parks the car on the apex. That is the defensive line, and it works very well. You see Peter Reed hang it out right towards the wall and then cut back down, tries to get the kick off the oval. I think that's cost him a bit of time there. And this is both fast cars go bang, and Roberto Garcia, his car has gone round.
And Pedro Marimon having a drift as well. Roberto Garcia is going to hate that corner by the end of today. He's been punted there 3 times in this race. He's going about his business and bang in the rear. Again, Alvaro Rodriguez from miles back. Pedro Marimon had his own incident there. He's just done that on his own, a bit too much curb. But I was sort of saying oof a minute ago because a lot of these drivers, when they're running the low line, as Marimon and Henrico Puttenstein have their own drifting show, as a lot of these drivers are coming around the oval, they're putting 2 wheels down on the apron, and it's just rotating the car a little bit more, obviously, to help them around the oval, but it's also washing off the speed. And some of them, I'm worried that we're going to see somebody lose the back end around there, because it's a very sketchy moment to have, especially at that sort of speed in this car.
Yeah, it looks like a fairly easy circuit, with it being pretty much 2 corners and a bit of a squiggle in the middle, but You think that, yeah, you hit that apron, that is the line that hasn't been driven on, and the car is not going to bottom out. It's going to do quite the opposite. The underside of the car is going to be far away from the ground. This is Javi Lopez once again under pressure from Peter Reid. Peter has got a bit of an overlap more than last time. Javi Lopez dives towards the inside once again, on towards the apron, hard on the brakes, and then grabs a couple of gears down the gearbox and through turn 3 once again. But yeah, it's a circuit where you think it's fairly easy, but the car's not, like I say, going to do the opposite of bottom out, which puts a lot of stress on the suspension. You then hit ones that maybe you hit the bottom of the oval, or the car comes right down onto the apron, and that can massively hurt your speed, and more contact once again.
Kalle Kavisto is having a real rough ride tonight. This is there's contact there between the 7 and Marimont. Marimont's honestly like a bowling ball in the middle of a china shop at the moment. That bowling ball's full of helium and it's got a rocket on the back of it. He's honestly bouncing off a lot of cars here. As down the inside goes Garcia on Timo Payet. Nice move, to be fair. Timo got out of it and gave him the space, which is good of him. Maybe saw an incident coming, but good stuff as Garcia clips the grass on the way into the hairpin onto the oval. But still, here's Neil Armstrong, NASA's finest, on the back of Harry Bowen, who unfortunately hasn't really been able to sort of make the ground that he would have wanted, has he?
No, Harry Bowen hasn't managed to get up through the order as much as I was hoping. We know he's a quick driver and we know he's got the potential, but I think a lot of this is just he's got to keep an eye on his rearview mirrors with Armstrong being there, and with them going onto the oval. And this is something I wanted to bring up. Like you said, you can be in the draft and you can be gaining. You throw the car to the outside, and then because you're out of the draft and you've got to go the longer way around, you just then can't get the overtake done. So you've either got to hope that the bottom line is opened up for you. You can occasionally force your way through that bottom line, or you've just got to do all of your overtaking in the infield. This is Pedro Marimon in the Flying Paellas racing machine, the number 28, in towards turn 3. Once again, the H20 cars, they're having a right old boogie tonight. All the cars knocking doors.
Pedro.
Wow, great avoidance driving. Who was that?
I'll tell you one thing, everybody. Me and Jack may criticise some of the driving in this championship, but my goodness me, how none of them hit Pedro Marimon there. I have no idea. I have no idea how none of these guys hit Pedro Marimon there. That's fantastic. Fantastic stuff. Great avoidance. That was the number 7. That was Arturo De Villa. He was chasing down Henrico Puttenstein. That was fantastic stuff from the Mexican driver there. And he's had his Weetabix, definitely. So Javi Lopez now has got Peter Reid behind him again here, Jack. This is just like the bad rom-com that won't end.
Yeah, it's something that it's a battle which I think we're going to see till the end of the race, because Javi Lopez is doing everything he can to make sure Peter Reid stays behind. And once again, look, he's carrying him down onto the apron, unsettles the car. The car pitches sideways. He manages to get it collected up. And Javi Lopez once again stays in front. And as long as you're in front, I think going into the infield, a massive moment in the background for Peter Reid, a handful of opposite lock and careful throttle modulation. He managed to get the moment collected up. And this is what I was talking about. You might have the run around the outside. You can see Kalle Kavisto having a little look. He's pretty much alongside and pretty much in front at this point of the number 14, going into the chicane, and he's just much more confident on the brakes. I expected him to stay behind. Almost contact once again. That's 2 H20 cars, Henrico Puttenstein and Arturo De Villa, after showing us some amazing avoidance driving. He goes, oh yeah, you like that? Let me try and avoid my teammate. He
says, just in case you've forgotten what the front of this livery looks like, look at the slipstream there. Look at the time he's gained. He's just a bit hesitant on the downshifts, and I think that's the main thing, you know. These cars really do rely on the engine braking, and I think a lot of these guys, they'll be running H-pattern gearboxes, so they'll just be getting it a little bit wrong, getting the car slowed down, and it's costing them all of their braking efficiency. Interesting that Luis Correa's only got one wing mirror on the right-hand side of that car, but at the moment he doesn't really care, he only needs a left one. He's got Sander Ware, his teammate, in front of him, so it's cars 1 and 2. P1 and 2 with 4 laps to go. But Michael Elliott right in there as well. Don't forget, Luis Correa just needs to finish in the top 20 and get 1 championship point now to wrap up the title Sander Ware, you can see how fast these cars go in and you think, oh, well, he's going off. But they just don't. They honestly do handle so well around that first corner. They just go so quickly into there, don't they?
I think it's just helped because they weigh under a ton, and they've got obviously I'm assuming it's sport or even race brakes. So the braking potential of these cars is absolutely amazing on slick tyres as well. So that'll massively help the braking performance. This is Timo Paya looking around the outside of Victor Oliveira on the brakes in towards the left-hander of turn 3, turns 1 and 2 obviously being on the oval, and nothing comes of that just yet. He has a look for the cutback, does Timo, has a bit of a flick of oversteer on the exit, but somehow these two are remaining in the positions they are in. You think, oh, he's got him there, and then go 5 seconds later, they're in a completely different order. For example, the leaders, they've been in this order for so long, so that's pretty much what I'm basing my assumptions off. But then when you look at some of the other battles halfway down the order, and they're just changing position every single corner, and the leaders are clearly doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's it. You know, sometimes when you're battling for the lead, you want to get away from everybody else that's behind you, and you don't want to push too hard. So I think these guys, they are still fighting side by side here, but I think on the infield, they're not giving it everything. You know, they've just got the sort of wise ability about them to just make sure. There wasn't much wise ability about that, Michael. Flipping out, mate. That was very close to the front of Luis Correa's car. Very risky. Sander holding on to P1 at the moment, but what can these pair do? It looked like Louis was out for revenge there, but now that means Michael Elliott up into second place, a South African driver doing a great job. So we've got the Dutchman leading the way, Sander Ware, the South African in second place, and the Venezuelan, Luis Correa, in third. Matt Tempest in fourth place. He's having a bit of a lonely race at the moment. He's 4 seconds off these guys. He's got the cleanest car on the grid at the moment. And he's got Javi Lopez in fifth, who is 8 seconds back. So the field's spread out there, but it certainly isn't here. This is Timo Paya and Victor Oliveira once again. And they've got Alvaro Rodriguez just behind them as well. Arturo De Villa still battling with Henrico Puttenstein. And then Pedro Marimon, Neil Armstrong, they're having a scrap as well. Nearly making contact with Harry Bowen. They must have scared the life out of him. Harry gets a bit of a poor exit out of the left-hander into the right-hand hairpin. Marimon gives him all the room. Neil Armstrong looks down the inside. Marimon gets on the throttle earlier, though. Onto the back of Harry Bowen once again. And like you said before, Jack, these guys, they're just swapping positions so much over the course of this race. It's epic stuff.
It really is. We said we wouldn't mind seeing a bit of contact, and we've had a fair share of that, and we're now being treated to some absolutely amazing racing. They've got the contacts out of their system, and they are continuing on. And I've just noticed Harry Bowen has no wing mirrors on his car anymore, so he is running the MX-5S, the streamlined edition. Whether that makes a difference or not, I don't know. And I think that was just 3 cars dominoing into each other. Pedro Marimon maybe a little too confident on the brakes, and he was just helped around by Neil Armstrong. And I think actually Harry Bowen maybe had a bit of a moment and slowed the car on the apex, and nobody was really expecting it.
Yeah, I think Harry just he got stuck on something there. But yeah, Harry just wasn't. He just carried next to no speed through the left-hander there, and the guys behind, like you say, they just weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for the fact that the car was going that slowly. Marimon obviously focusing on defending his position rather than what's going on ahead, and that contact unfortunately got concertinaed, let's say. This is Timo Paya still trying to get past Victor Oliveira. Alvaro Rodriguez in there as well, trying to make some moves. Sander Ware back in front as... Sorry, Luis Correa back in front behind Sander Ware, with Michael Elliott now down to third place again. So these three at the front swapping over. We're just about to come on to the 17th lap out of 18, and once again, Jack, with so much going on, this race has just flown by us again.
Yeah, I love the racing, but it goes way too quickly. I think Sunday drivers need to live up to his name and have a 24-hour Sunday race from midnight Sunday to midnight Sunday morning to midnight Monday morning. That would probably be Sunday drivers then, and in these MX-5s, I'm not sure what would be left of them. I think maybe we could, if we did everything properly, we might get one wheel over the line. But at the moment, everybody's just showing what they can do behind the wheel. You can see bits of contact still picking up every now and then. This is Sepe looking at the inside of Pedro Marimon.
Can I just say that I love the fact that these cars have one of each wing mirror between them. Neither of them have the two wing mirrors on the right or the left of right of Haynes' car, left of Marimon's car. So between them, they've got an MX-5's count of wing mirrors. As Peter Reid has gone off on his own. Peter Reid having a moment. Jean-Louis Morget has also gone off the circuit. Let's have a look at what's happened to Peter. Oh, again, just focusing on what's going on in front of him too much and smack into the wall. He's lucky that carried on. Jean-Louis Morget had an issue as well. I think he's going very slowly on the inside. I think he just got off the circuit to try and get out of the way of these guys coming through. And we've had an issue for Alvaro Rodriguez and Timo Paya. Alvaro's just come over on his teammate. That's Arturo Davia, who he's sending wide. These H20 cars, I tell you, they really are pushing. That's a real slide from Arturo Davia. I love it, but we need to look back at the front because these guys are just about to come on to their final lap now. They cross the line. Sander Ware leads the race by about half an inch from Luis Correa, who's about 3/4 of an inch ahead of Michael Elliott. The three of them now onto this final lap. Will stick with this lead battle. Don't forget that number 2 car on the outside of Luis Correa. If he finishes just in this top 3, he doesn't necessarily need to beat these guys. But if he finishes in the top 3, he is champion. So he needs to play it safe here. But Michael Elliott, he's going to be going for it now. I've seen him driving in the British Boring Car Championship. Michael is not a driver that gives up. So hold on to your hats. And Sander Ware could be on for his first win in an absolute age in that number 1 H20 Esports racing car. And what a way to do it. Plenty of battling going on. It's not like he's just driven off, is it?
No, he's had to work for it 100%. I think it's his first win since Silverstone last season. So he has well and truly been waiting a long time. All he needs to do is stay in front for the next half a lap, but that's easier said than done because Michael Elliott, like you say, he is one hell of a driver. He knows what he's doing behind the wheel of this sort of car as they go through the hairpin for the final time.
Oh no,
Sander! That's not what we wanted. Into the front of Luis Correa as well.
Well, Louis home and dry, if anything. Sander spins it on his own. Michael Elliott, unfortunately, nowhere to go. And it's not the way he would have wanted his championship to finish. But around the final corner, to take the race win here at Texas and to take the Sunday Drivers MX-5 Series Championship, it is Luis Correa, your champion-elect, everybody. Fantastic stuff from Louis. Real shame about the incident. Elliott finishes second. Matt Tempest grabs the podium. Sander Ware finishes fourth. Then it's going to be Javi Lopez, making it 3 H20 Esports cars in the top 5. Roberto Garcia is just going to beat home Amanullah Bakker, so even with the 3 punts that he's had, he's gained 7 places. Peter Reid, 11 places gained. Ben Hicks finishes 9th. Victor Oliveira has so far gained 10 positions, and he's going to round out your 10 by the look of it. But wow, I cannot believe it. Sander Ware throws it away at the end. Victor Oliveira rounds out your top 10. Well, what do you make of that, Jack? Crazy racing with an even crazier ending.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not what I wanted the race to. It's not how I wanted the race to finish. But wow, that was a unique race, even for these guys. Every single week we go into, or every single race week we go to a different circuit, of course. And just riding on board now with Luis Correa into the front left of his teammate Sander, sadly spinning on the final corner. But yeah, every 3 weeks we go to a different circuit, and it's always going into the unknown. But tonight was something I was not expecting. Lots of contact, even with, I think everybody crossed the line with a repair bill. But it's not what I was expecting at all. That's the politest way I could put it. And I would have thought, obviously, with Luis Correa and being the championship hopeful, I was expecting him just not to qualify, or if he is going to qualify, just qualify right up at the front, which is what he did. But then the race it was really up and down. I don't know what to make of it. I'm almost lost for words because so much happened, and so much could have changed the dynamic of the race in other ways. But it was just, there was so much contact. But everybody, I think, like over 28 cars finished the race in the end. I tell a lie. I think it was actually 24 cars finished the race, even after all of that contact.
Yeah, we still had a great quota of finishing cars, and still amazing racing all the way through. But Luis Correa is your champion, everybody, of the Sunday Drivers MX-5 Series. And to be honest, Jack, he's put in all the effort, and he's consistently been up there, hasn't he? He didn't start the season. He wasn't the first driver. He wasn't here at the very start, I don't think, but it was Andrew Lovesey that was really walking it, but unfortunately Andrew not taking part in the last few meetings. That has meant that the championship fight has been made a lot easier for Louis, but even still, I mean, we got to watch some absolutely cracking racing. We'll bring up the results in just a second, but a very, very deserving champion, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. He has put in a hell of a stint throughout the season. He's been driving very quickly, very cleanly, very consistently. And I think even with damage like we see, he just limps the car home. Obviously, tonight he wanted to do that to get his championship, but we've seen him have incidents, whether it be with another car, whether it be with the wall, even sometimes his teammate. He limps the car home and makes sure he gets across the line for himself and for the team.
He did indeed. So there you go then. Luis Correa wins the race and the championship. Michael Elliott a great second place. Matt Tempest finishes in third with Sander Ware in fourth. Javi Lopez gets the top 5 for H20 Esports Racing. It's Roberto Garcia in 6th place. Amanullah Bacchus finishes 7th with Peter Reid in 8th. Ben Hicks was 9th with Victor Oliveira, just about rounding out your top 10. He was ahead of Cali Cavisto in 11th with Alvaro Rodriguez behind him. Enrico Puttenstein recovered to 13th place ahead of Arturo Devilla. Timo Paya didn't really do much in that race there, finishing 15th. Pedro Maramon did everything in that race and finished 16th. Neil Armstrong in 17th with Sebastian Hain in 18th position, with David Geddes 19th and Harry Bowen rounding out your top 20. Then we have Mackenzie Mann, the last car on the lead lap, with Andrea Zella in 22nd. Jason Guerrara is 23rd with Jean-Louis Morget 24th. And then the cars that did not finish, Yordnin Svetanov, after, well, contact of a large degree. Sven Dalemans, the cause of that contact, in 26th with Bram Klaas and Rennie Ware rounding out your field. But we're going to have a quick word with some of the drivers then behind that race and see what we can fathom from what they made of another very, very busy round. And to be fair, we're going to start this on, whenever anybody asks you, do you want the bad news or the good news first? They always say, give us the bad news. So we'll speak to Sander Ware, shall we? Sander, that was looking like such a fantastic contest out there at the front, mate. And regardless of how it ended, you must have enjoyed that racing.
Yeah, I did. I knew I was in a good position, but I think it was a millisecond. I went too early on the throttle in the last corner, and I didn't let the pressure get to me until the last corner. So,
well, I mean, me and Jack were saying earlier on in the broadcast that, even though these cars, you start out in them in iRacing, and they're great little cars to race because they are so close together, no matter what you do with them, but they do still bite you sometimes, don't they? If you get a bit excited on the throttle, let's say.
Yeah, and I think also the tires decline, and every lap it gets a little bit different, and you have to brake a little bit earlier. But wow, this was just silly. It was just I know I have some friends watching, so I thought it has been a very boring race. So some sensation in the end.
Love it. Doing it for the fans, everybody. Sander Ware.
Yes, of course. I shouldn't even be here because I'm not on the podium, right?
Well, it's still good to speak to you either way, mate. And obviously, you were leading a lot of that race, so deservedly worth an interview. But obviously, one of the main talking points tonight, your teammate Luis Correa has clinched the championship, and it's been a great job from him this season, hasn't it?
Yeah. It was a bit unfortunate that in many rounds Andy and Luis didn't coincide. So when Luis wasn't there, Andy was there, and the other way around. So,
yeah.
Looking to next season would be great if both can be there, and hopefully, I think there are many more title candidates, more or less, because I think also Dan and Michael and Kalle and probably also Bram, if he gets his new wheel working, he's definitely one of the title candidates also. So next season will be interesting.
One more round to go this season, obviously at Alton Park, a very different circuit to this one. It's a lot more narrow and a lot less forgiving. What are you looking forward to there?
Well, of course, it's quite a new circuit in iRacing, so I've only driven it once just to test if it would be a good circuit for our cup, and it is a fantastic circuit. So, the last round there will be great. I think it's a very nice circuit, and Hopefully we have a cameo appearance, but
Well,
I'm not sure if that's if that will be happening, but I hope so.
well, we'll have to see. I'll mention that to the driver in question when I get a chance. But fantastic to speak to you as always, though, Sander. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, mostly to you guys and to you both and Ian at Simracersworld. Has been a fantastic ride for us in this first year of broadcasting, and I think we had great close racing, and of course we still have a race to go, but I already want to thank all the drivers involved in our series, because in the end, the little community that we are, we make these kind of races, and I'm very happy how things go.
Smashing stuff. Well said, mate. We certainly do love broadcasting this championship. It's a lot of fun as well. So hopefully we will see you next time round, mate, and we'll have a chat with you after Alton Park.
Okay, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Great. See ya.
And to be fair, we all knew that we would have to have a word with him after tonight, but it is your new champion, Luis Correa, who joins us in the booth. Luis, that especially the last lap, that was one that you really had to work for, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, it was, guys. Thank you. I was just trying to keep up with them because I had some damage I do to myself against the wall and was really slow in a straight line, but I just trying to keep up with them, and luckily I got away with it in the end.
Well, you've come away with it with the championship, and I mean you've worked very hard for it. And Sander was saying there that because of the fact that you and Andy, you were sort of in different rounds to each other. If you weren't there, he was, and if he wasn't there, then you were. It's been a bit of a tough fight for you either way, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been. I just wanted to have some couple of races with him because he's a really fast guy and have some battles. But maybe the next season we'll have more action.
Well, fingers crossed, mate, because it's been an absolute joy to broadcast it. And obviously we've got another round coming up. In just a couple of weeks' time, we go to Alton Park. Now, is that a circuit that you know very well?
Yeah, I did. I really like it. I did some good race in the F3 within the Simracersworld Championship. And it's a really nice track. So I think it will give place to a great racing next week.
Yeah, it's a very narrow and unforgiving circuit, as I've said on many occasions. But it's great to see you win that championship, mate. You really do deserve it. It's been great all season. Before we let you go, do you want to give a shout out to anybody?
Nobody especially, but everyone that been following the races. Is great to have them there, and it's just fun to race. And thank you guys for just broadcasting it and giving it a little bit more emotion.
Fantastic stuff. Well, thank you very much, mate. We certainly do enjoy it, and we'll speak to you at Alton Park, mate. Well done on your championship.
Okay, thanks, man.
Cheers. And one more final interview is somebody who I've been speaking to a little bit more than usual, but to be honest, it's been for all very good reasons. Michael Elliott joins us in the chat, the South African driver. Michael, you must be very pleased with getting a second place, mate, because it looked like that you were going to have a bit of a lonely race outside of the top three there.
Yeah, definitely, Chaz. Well, to be honest, I wasn't expecting it. I was just saying to Sander and Louis now that I actually felt a bit uncompetitive during practice and qualifying. Just didn't feel comfortable at this track, and then once I got up front with Louis and Sander, I thought I could maintain this. So it was great. Awesome race.
And what did you make of racing around that circuit? Because while you look at it on a map and you think it looks like just an oval with a squiggly bit in the middle, it is quite a challenge in these cars, isn't it?
No, it is. And especially turn one. Turn one's quite tricky, going into that hairpin. And then also as the race went on, you were finding yourself having to brake, earlier and earlier. Look, it was great from a slipstream perspective. I think it was a cool track for the Mazda.
And what are you thinking in terms of the final race at Alton Park? Is that a circuit that you're looking forward to? I mean, British Boring Car Championship goes there on Thursday as well, so you're going to get sick of the place, I imagine.
Of course. No, it should be good. Looking forward to it in the Mazda. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, we can finish off the season with ideally a win. But I'll take a podium any day.
Smashing. Well, anybody you want to thank before we let you go, Michael?
Yeah, just to Sander, great championship. I mean, if you look over the last year, how this championship has grown, both in driving standards and in camaraderie amongst the drivers, it's been fantastic. Also, big congratulations to Louis. I think he's wrapped up the championship. Truly deserving champion. And then, just to you guys for a great broadcast, and then also to my folks back at home who have stayed up. It's 1:45 in the morning in South Africa. So it's greatly appreciated that they're sticking around to watch their son play some games.
Cracking commitment. Absolutely love it. Well, great to speak to you as always, Michael. Thank you very much, mate. And we'll see you in a few weeks' time at Alton Park. And I'll see you on Thursday.
Absolutely. See you on Thursday. Thanks, Chaz.
Cheers, mate. Smashing. And once again, just rounds up sort of what a great pack of drivers they've got in this championship, doesn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it's got almost a family feel about it. Everybody knows everybody pretty much. Like, you can just mention them and go, oh yeah, they drive for this, or oh, I saw them, I was racing with them at round 6 or at round 12 or whatever. You just know that they're going to know who they're talking about purely because they've raced with each other, they've practiced with each other. Even if they haven't seen each other on the track, they might have been chatting in the Discord or something like that. Everybody knows each other, and it just makes a really, really good league. And everybody, yeah, like I say, everybody just, but 99% of the time gets on. And tonight it was a surprise for me to see that much contact. And I think that's just because it's almost last-ditch effort for the championship. But that worries me because next week we go to Alton Park, which is a circuit which has very little runoff at points. It's quite a skinny, it's quite a skinny circuit. It's a difficult circuit anyway. And if tonight on a wide circuit with plenty of runoff on the infield, there have been several bits of there's been a few comings together, let's put it, at Alton Park without championships on the table towards the top end of the order. I'm guessing it's going to turn into a bit of a touring car race.
I hope so, because it's been very, very entertaining here in the Sunday Drivers MX-5 series, and more of that, please, gentlemen, is definitely what I want, because we've thoroughly enjoyed it here, haven't we, this season? And one more final round to get things decided and get things sorted out, and I am all for it, because you just know that these lot are going to go into any race meeting, no matter what, with complete intention on just having a very, very strong performance, and some of them will do absolutely anything for that win, and you don't blame them, really. But either way, everybody, this is your champion that we're looking at now, Luis Correa for H20 Esports Racing, and a very deserving champion indeed. This has been the Sunday Drivers MX-5 series. We'll be with you in a couple of weeks' time at Alton Park. My name is Chaz Draycott. Alongside me tonight has been Jack Werrell. Thank you, as always, mate. And we'll see you in a few weeks, everybody, at Alton Park. Good night.